Hmm. Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I don't know why, but I felt like today was kind of a weird episode. And it also, like, if I had to sit there and title this episode, I would title it Consequences. Okay? I would title it Consequences because the two names that come to mind in this episode is Nina and Willow. Right? And yeah, Britt is in this episode. But I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't really understand what was the point. I mean, other than fan service. Because, yes, she's with some guy named Tomas, and he's massaging her, and then I don't know what happened, why she stopped it or whatever. I don't know if the dude was doing it right. I don't know. But then towards the end, she is injecting herself with something. And she's looking at her notes on her computer, on the laptop, or whatever, and it looked like she's hard at work. But like you could have took that whole scene out and it wouldn't have affected this episode at all. Right? And watching conversation between Leisel and Jason, a little weird. A little weird. It's a little weird because I couldn't tell if she was manipulating him in a sense or was she just genuinely grieving. Like there's a point where he asked her, at one point he walks up and he's like, I think I saw Britt at the airport. And Lisa's like, I see Britt all the time. Then she goes in with an emotional speech. Right? And then there's a point where he was like, I noticed when I came back to Port Charles, Britt doesn't have a gravesite. Where was she buried at? Britt, she changed, as she got to know you and stuff like that. And I'm just like, so are you just gonna answer like one of his goddamn questions? Because like that would be really nice. I'll be frustrated as hell if I've been asking you questions and you've been just, and it made me sit there and think, is she doing that on purpose? Right? And she's a grieving mother, or she's coming across as the grieving mother. And she keeps answering the question with an emotional speech to make him stop asking and stop digging more into it. Because that was my first theory, you know? Especially the first time I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just, he's just seeing things and that's really lovely. When he asks you point blank, where's your goddamn gravesite? You're just like, she's completely changed, when she met you. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not the question that he asked you though. So we're just not gonna, okay. So it's either that or maybe she was just drinking and she was going through her feelings or whatever. It made me wonder. Like I said, the whole Brit stuff, I really feel like fan, that was just fan service. There was something called, like she was wearing something that said Poppy or something, or Puppies. I think it was something with a P. And then Jason was sitting there thinking about probably going down there because, he saw what Brit or Brit's lookalike was going towards. And then he was sitting there looking up hotels and everything like that and resorts. So, dude got the money. Why not go down there? Okay, so Willow at this point, I feel like she's just going through a nervous breakdown. That is the only way that I can sit there and understand like whatever's going on. Because she bangs on the door, then she starts trying to bogart her way in. And Carla's like, no, you can't do this. The justice, you can't do this. And then she's like, look at your image, pretty much. And you see mascara running down her face, and she's like, Do you want your kids to see that? And she looks right at the mirror and she's like, Wiley? And I'm like, girl, what the f is wrong with you? Michael practically drags her ass out of there. And Michael was like, yo, listen, can't go there. Willow starts trying to practically bargain. And it's like, I broke up with Drew since I'm not with Drew anymore. I mean, I can see the kids, right? It's like, listen, maybe not right now. Like we can visit that down the line. But for right now, we staying with what the judge said. She's like, what if I get back together with you? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What Michael's not gonna do is he's not gonna go backwards. Okay, like going back out with you would just be downgrading himself. We don't want to start up this new actor downgrading himself with you, seeing how much of a god awful wife you are. I can't even. It's so hard for me to use the word wife and Willow in the same sentence. But like that's what you were, and you think he's going to go back to that? I would sit there and say, "Girl, you must have lost your goddamn mind." But well, too late for that. So he practically was like, you need to leave, otherwise I'm calling the guards. Now Liz and Rick eventually get her up, take her back to her place because she's like, I got nowhere to go. It's like, and whose fault is that? This is the part where it's like it's very hard for me to feel bad for her because it's like, you did this to yourself, and that's just number two. That's literally number two. Number one is that you have Carly, you have Michael that has to sit there and explain heartbroken Wiley essentially how your mother was meant to act like a fucking nut job. So that's number one. That's another reason why I generally just do not feel any sympathy towards her. Because she looked at herself in the mirror and she was just like, yeah, I don't really care about his feelings. I don't care about my kids' feelings. I just care about my own feelings. So, like, I can't feel bad for her because she did that to herself. Um, she gets back to the house. She's just convinced. She's like, I don't understand why Michael's being so cruel. And, I'm going to go back there tomorrow and everything's going to be fine. You see in the previews, and she's like, yeah, I pretty much kind of fucked up. Now, Nina calls Curtis and Portia to sit there and say that, well, I got good news and bad news. Good news is that Willow's away from Joe. Bad news is that I'm pretty much awful. I'm also away from Willow because she told me to get the hell out of her life since the whole, doing the Devil's Tango with Drew kind of didn't really sit right with her. And there's a point where Portia's like, how she find it? It's like, I don't know. It was like, yeah, I did it. He says why he did it. He was like, he didn't mean to hurt Nina, but that was his last ditch option. And ultimately, Nina's like, listen, it's fine. I'm not even upset with you. She needed to know. It needed to come out. And if it was up to me, I would have tried to talk you out of it. So, she can take her L knowing that Willow won't be rocking with Drew. But then Curtis is like, or she may want to forgive him. I mean, Drew pulled her in once. He can do it again and convince her and just don't know. I mean, she's kind of vulnerable and everything. Now Tracy and Cody are kind of hanging out in the living room and she's checking his back or whatever. And Drew's outside with Martin talking about, oh, I need you with me. So this way, I can have an excuse to, go see Tracy. Now, he thinks that Willow is there. Because, that's where Michael has kids at. He gets there. There's a big standoff between Tracy, Cody, which is just being annoying. I understood why Tracy was like there poking, making fun of him. But Cody just seemed like he was just being extra and just unnecessary. Like, what he reminded me of? You have like the mean girl like clique or whatever, and that one girl going after the new girl, and then you have like the little sidekick that's like making little sarcastic jokes and remarks. That's what he was like. He was like the goddamn sidekick. I could have swore Molly was writing sidekick or whatever in her book or whatever, but Yuri comes in and Drew's like, oh, where is she? Where's Willow? This, that, and the third. And eventually, you know, he winds up going to go and look for Willow. Meanwhile, Marty and Yuri are talking about Monica and everything. And bottom line is that Tracy's like, yeah, I have no idea where she's at. I know she ain't here. I'm like, wait. This scene went on for like maybe a good 10, 15 minutes. Why did you even, like, what? Like, you could have just told him that he wasn't there. Like, why even go back and forth if you know that he wasn't there? That just seemed like it was a giant and utter waste of time. I did not understand that. I really did not understand that. And towards the end, Michael was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to sit there and trust her with the kids. Because, I mean, look at the girl. She's, she ain't there. She is not there. And the only thing left is, Molly coming in, complaining about Cody, but also coming across like as some sort of jealous ex-lover. And, Christina's sitting there saying that, she felt kind of bad, lying to her sister. But, she also feels like Cody's not good enough for her and blah, 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 blah. And also it's like, oh, Cody needs to stay on task to break those two up, to make them distrust each other. And I'm just like, it doesn't really matter because they could just sit there and ask for their payments separately. They don't have to sit there and do it in a group effort. They could be like, hey, listen, at my account you're going to give money into, you have Ava's account you're going to give money into. No. This gravy train's going to keep going. Just because we ain't snit there boinking does not mean that this gravy train needs to stop. So, I'm just like, I'm like, Christina, you could just turn yourself in. You want to sit there and talk about how you're upset that those two are blackmailing your mother, that your mother can go to jail. Why don't you just turn yourself in? If you want to sit there and say that you're doing the right thing, if you want to do the right thing, then do the right goddamn thing instead of having your mother literally take money out of a baby's trust fund. Like, what the huh? Like Portia, I guess you have to sit there and tell the truth. Tell the truth, and shit, that was not the idea. The hell is that sit there and saying? Like that's about it. Yeah, I feel like that's about it for the most part. Might have been some stuff here or there that I missed, but that's the general gist of the episode. Now, of course, if I miss anything, write in the comment section below. I'm gonna do my best. Sit there and try to do a live stream tonight, even if I do it at 9 o'clock. Yeah. So I'll post what time I'm actually gonna be, doing the stream around, and yeah, we'll go from there. With that being said, I'm gonna go. I'll see you in the next video.